All right, should be live. Let's give a little test here to make sure we are actually alive. All right. How's it going, everybody? And welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network Link 288. I'm your host, Spencer Presley. Joining me for a live special podcast. Special why? Because I haven't done a podcast live since the Soul Hackers 2 review discussion, so it's like been 5-something weeks, and I would like to thank all of you for being very patient. I really miss doing these live. So, not a lot to talk about this week, but some interesting topics. So if you're in the live chat and you have something you want to say, whether it be a question or chat, feel free to either at me so I make sure I don't miss it or something like that. But yeah, solo show today, just me, no other special guests, so can't imagine we're going to go too long, but with the power of my, let's see here, what size is this? My 1.5 liter smart bottle water and like a 4th bottle of Mountain Voodoo. We'll see how far we can make it tonight. JCat, thank you for being here. Beyond SP, Xheat, and Raging Oga, thank you so much for being here so far. And everyone else lurking in the live chat, I always appreciate you. So, we've missed a lot. Atlus is suing people. Atlus is suing people. People aren't buying Atlus's special editions. Soul Hackers 2 has been discounted already to $40. The world is a crazy, crazy time right now. So, we'll go into the less interesting one with Soul Hackers 2. So yes, as a lot of you may have noticed, Soul Hackers 2 has been out for just a little over a month now as of this live show. And it's now been discounted to $40. The launch editions are very plentiful, so if you're dying for those kind of like see-through plasticky trading cards, even though obviously you get all of them at the game, you can find those anywhere. If you actually want to help support the show, if you'd like to buy Soul Hackers 2 for $40 and also give us $1 back at percentage, feel free to check out the VGP link. That'll be with the show. Honestly, if you buy anything from VGP via any of our links and stuff, it kind of helps out. But yeah, it's been nice to actually kind of see people picking up the game, because it definitely felt like after the game came out, it was like a week of people talking about it. And then I don't know if it was just because other things were going on, TGS, or a lot of things, but the discussion definitely moved away from Soul Hackers 2 very, very quickly. So with that, retailers are sitting on a lot of stock. I'm sure they want to get rid of it now before the holiday, so cutting $20 from that is pretty steep, but at the same time, it's also like the game's been out for a little over a month now at this point. I haven't seen too many people like kind of mad that it got cut that fast, but I'm also biased. I bought the game, what was it? It's either like 3 or 4 times or something, so it's a little it's a little crazy. Speaking of little housekeeping things, I did do an unboxing for the Soul Hackers 2 Shop Atlus Collector's Edition, that $200 beast. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, but it definitely helped make me not feel bad about skipping out on the Persona 5 Royal One More Edition, which we'll definitely be talking about next. But I want to kind of check in with the comments. So again, guys, if y'all have any comments or questions, throw them in the YouTube chat. We're here as long as I've got liquid. Okay, so Raging Oga actually tagged me, so I'll have to go to this one first. Can you blame people for not wanting the SE Special Edition since no DLC for that ridiculous price? It's interesting, actually. Oh, sorry, I assume you mean the Standard Edition for Soul Hackers. It's a weird one, yeah. Like, they never commented, and I really tried to get Atlus to comment on it. Why they never included the Phantom Thieves costume in the retail edition makes like no sense at all to me. Incentivizing one DLC pack as a digital pre-order bonus always seemed really weird. And then also with a game with so much DLC, to have none of it be in the physical edition was super, super weird. Let's see what else chat is saying. Beyond SP says, can count me in as someone who has bought all the special editions I could, but could not bring myself to get this one. Oh, that actually makes me feel better, Beyond. Yeah, so, like, it's weird. Like, I feel like if anyone should want to buy Persona 5 for the third time in a collector's edition, I feel like it should be me, you know? I feel like I should want this because I love collector's editions. I've bought great collector's editions. I've bought trash collector's editions. For all the audio listeners out there, I actually put the collector's editions content as this episode's thumbnail, but if for whatever reason you're not able to see this, the One More edition comes in a cardboard treasure chest, much like in Persona 5. It has a picture stand with just one image in the picture stand, a set of art prints, a deck of tarot cards, and a steelbook, but we'll get into the steelbook later, and then a replica, or I guess like, not really a replica, but a version of Akechi's A bag. So if you've ever seen Akechi's little A bag there, that's all kind of there with it. So for me, kind of breaking it down, steelbook, again, we're going to talk about it on its own, but that's with every edition of the game at retail, so that's a little bit different. Do I care about a cardboard treasure chest? Not really. Do I need a picture stand? Definitely no. Do I need an Akechi A bag? Definitely no. My SMT5 bag is still much cooler looking. Like, if you don't remember, Akechi's bag is a, like, briefcase-sized gray bag with a letter A in black with a circle around it. That's all it is. It's, like, the most boring part of his, like, iconography. Like, I mean, obviously, like, I wasn't expecting them to do, like, another mask again or something, but, like, I feel like Persona 5, I think it says a lot about how much effort and thought they put into this collector's edition, that what we have left, like, there are so many other things they could have done. I would have instantly bought this if there was a Tycoon deck. Like, where is the Tycoon deck? Seriously. Include a full soundtrack, include maybe a new or updated art book, although there is another one of those coming soon. So many other things other than prints, tarot cards again. Like, we've seen tarot cards, obviously not official ones with the P5 tarot card decks, but, like, nothing here excites me as a collector, as a Persona fan. Like, nothing here at all screams you're gonna have FOMO for missing out on this. The best thing this collector's edition has going for it is the steelbook. So the steelbook will be available only in the West, so obviously Australia, Europe, UK, North America, all that kind of stuff. This steelbook, I'm going to do a video on it probably, maybe like next week or something. This steelbook is a weird one of, like, I already own this steelbook. Atlus West has never done this before. Atlus West is selling the Persona 5 Royal steelbook that Japan had all the way back in 2019. So the GEO Steelbook edition, if you've never seen it, is the exact same thing. Now, I will say this, if you don't have the Steelbook, and obviously, of course, I'm going to have to get it, even though it's just missing the word the, I'm going to have to buy it just because it is an English version of it. It is a little bit different. But if you've never seen this Steelbook, it's very, very nice. The, like, clean cover, the back with all the cards is a really, really nice touch. There's like a little spot glass, little emboss right there. It's a great steelbook. But in, like, again, it goes back to, like, this game has so much awesome art. Also, like, kind of sad that there's literally no new art at all for this re-release. But again, like, as we'll probably get to into the leading coverage of the re-release for Persona 5 Royal in October, this is like the most copy and paste of ports out there. It's like, it's nothing but quality of life features. There's nothing new. It's 4K 60 on consoles that can handle it. It's on Switch if you want to play it on Switch, and it's on PC, and it's got all the DLC bundled in there. So it's like, it's a really no frill. Like, I can't think of another time Atlus has done a less exciting re-release. And it's not because of the quality of the game. It's just, like, it's because there's nothing there. Like, even Full Body on Switch, at least, kind of had that thing of, well, it was coming to a different platform, and even though it had all the DLC, it at least kind of was like, oh, okay, that's at least cool, it's coming here. But, I mean, even Catherine Full Body, I was like, whatever, I'll wait till Black Friday, pick it up for $20. I'm the exact same way with, like, 13 Sentinels. Like, I'm in no hurry to pick that up. And even with Persona 5 Royal, like, why am I not wanting to pick this up? Like, it's like, I like Persona 5 Royal. I really, really like Persona 5 Royal. I am someone who covers this on a weekly basis with the community and a podcast and everything of, like, I'm not saying this isn't worth it. Like, obviously, I'm saying, hey, if you've never played this game, pick it up. Get it on Game Pass. Play it on Switch. Get it on PS5 or PC. Like, there's a lot of fun ways, like, that people can experience this for me. But it's like, yeah, I'm in no hurry to do another full playthrough. This collector's edition does nothing for me, and even the Steelbook is just a re-release without the word "the" on the cover. So it's really, really interesting. I can't think of another time where I've been less, not excited, like it's not going to be fun. Like, I'm excited to cover it. I'm excited to see the technical, like, I want to run it through its paces, but like, even looking at releases like Ultimax. Ultimax added nothing new until rollback many months later, but like, that at least there was time. I was allowed time to miss it. Persona 5 Royal, even though it's 3 years old in Japan and over 2 years old in the West, I'm like, it just feels like we're always living in Persona 5 time. Like, it's never been gone long enough for me to miss it. But again, this version isn't for me. Like, this re-release of the game, this collector's edition of the game, that's not for me. Like, this is for all of the millions of people out there who wanted to play it on Switch, Xbox, PC, or people out there, for whatever reason, like, are playing it on PS5 for the first time. Like, Atlus is not marketing this, even though this will be double-dipped by a lot of fans, myself included. Like, there's a reason there's no cross-buy. There's a reason there's no save transfer from the PlayStation 4 version. Like, this is just another version of this game. They are wanting people to jump in and commit, hence why it's a $60 title. Now, do I think it's worth $60? Right now, I would say no. But I'm also biased in the sense of, like, okay, well, let me say this. If you've already played Persona 5 Royal and done everything in Persona 5 Royal, I would say this is not worth $60 day one. If you've never played it, hands down. Pick it up, play it, love it, enjoy it. Like, check it out. Again, Game Pass as well. Like, that'll be, like, I'll be recommending this on Game Pass probably more than anything come October. Or hopefully the Switch version, like, continues to, like, run pretty solid, and that'll be a good one. But, like, for double dippers, it's going to be a big uphill battle unless you're, like, I don't know, maybe you're someone who's like, I have nothing else to play. But I was talking to some friends today, actually, it was a couple days ago, but I was like, there are so many more games I'm looking forward to more than playing P5R again. Like, Mario plus Rabbids, Bayonetta 3, even Star Ocean. Like, Star Ocean and Valkyrie Elysium. I'm like, dude, yeah, like, I am much more excited to play those because they are new experiences. Like, there's so many new games coming out this year that I still haven't gotten a chance to play and whatnot with it, that it's just like, yeah, like, I think it's great timing for Atlus. I think it'll do well in October. But, like, yeah, for me, it's like, yeah, I'm covering it because it's something I'm interested in. But, yeah, you will not be seeing a full playthrough of this game with me unless something really crazy comes my way. Let's see. Cherry Pop Ninja says, what is up with the lawsuit? I will explain later about the lawsuit, but yes, there is some legal Atlus news. Let's see what else I've missed. I've went on a tirade talking about this game I'm going to be buying, about how people may be thinking I'm saying don't buy P5R now. Let's see. Alex says, I'm still personally holding out on Soul Hackers 2. I want to get it on PC. There's some cool mods for it. Oh yeah, honestly, like, I'm excited to also see the mods for Persona 5 as well. Let's see. Chris Check says, given the fact that Soul Hackers 2 feels like a budget game, they should have had it be $40 to $50, but again, with the price drop makes sense. I don't know if, like, $40 to $50 makes sense for me, but I mean, like, we live in such a weird time right now of, like, games go so cheap so fast anyway that it's like, yeah, like, I get it, but also at the same time, it's like, I paid $60 for this game digitally, physically, and $200 for a collector's edition, and I never felt burnt, thankfully. Let's see. Let's talk about the Like a Dragon news. Maybe if, like, I burn through all of our discussion points, we can talk about Like a Dragon, but here's the quick one for all of you out there who are dying for my Yakuza now Like a Dragon takes. Shin, interesting it's a remake, excited to play it, not like losing my mind over it. Like a Dragon Gaiden, the in-between one with Cosmo, I think... Sorry, not Cosmo, with Kiryu. Interesting. I'll be curious more so to see how they charge that one. Like that, how are they going to charge for that? I'm really curious about. And then Yakuza 8, I'm definitely in. It's like, yeah, it's a sequel to Yakuza 7. I'm all in. No doubt about it. JCat says, the writing was on the wall for Soul Hackers 2. Atlus made some questionable business decisions surrounding the game, platform choice, lack of Western marketing, releasing it so close to P5R. I'll say this. The marketing, the more we get away from Soul Hackers 2 being out, I will agree. Atlus definitely abandoned Soul Hackers really quickly to just jump into Persona 5 marketing. Like, I don't know, and obviously marketing's not free. It probably does make sense for them to want to put money into P5R as opposed to Soul Hackers 2, but yeah, I don't know. Like, Soul Hackers 2 post-release is definitely giving me Ultimax vibes, and not in a good way. Of like, it came out, you either played it or you didn't, and maybe you'll pick it up when it's on a deep discount. But it's still super solid. So it's like, listen, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me like how well Soul Hackers 2 sells, because at the end of the day, I loved the game that I got from it. Let's see. Chris Check says, special editions of re-releases of a remaster is just silly to me. I will say, I mean, they know what they're doing. It's called the One More Edition for a reason. They've sold you Persona 5 Collector's Editions 3 times now total. The Take Your Heart Edition for Persona 5 in 2017. The, oh god, what was the Royal Edition called? The Phantom Thieves edition, maybe. That was back in 2020. And now in 2022, we have the One More edition. But I'm at least, like, glad this is the worst one. Because, like, at least with the... Let's see. The Persona 5 one, like, I actually don't, like, love. The Persona 5 bag is fine, but it definitely left a lot of room in the quality control department. But the art book was fine. And I liked the CD. And the steelbook was nice. The box was really big, but geez, it was obnoxiously shaped. The Phantom Thieves edition is a weird one of, like, I didn't care for the Joker mask, but the art book was really, really nice on that one. So, usually a lot of these kind of get saved by the art books and CDs and stuff they include with them. Especially because those were, like, hardcovers, but, yeah, this one just kind of gave up on that. Let's see here. Weenie says, any chance of doing a video talking about the connections between Soul Hackers 1 and 2? I definitely could. I feel like there's a couple of other things. I've been really quiet on the making videos instead of podcast front. Like, honestly, guys, I've been so busy at my day job and stressed and just, like, yanking my hair out. Like, it really sucks. Like, as soon as I finished Soul Hackers, there was a bunch of stuff I've been wanting to do, but I've mostly just been working on trying to get a couple of games out for a review. But again, my backlog has just been crazy, and then work has not been giving me, like, any time to really play anything. But I have a couple of things in mind in terms of Atlus one-off videos. I'll definitely be doing a technical breakdown for Persona 5 Royal. Let's see what else, though. The Soul Hackers 1 and 2 connection I definitely could do, but, like, it wouldn't be that long. Like, there are connections, but because they are so, like, kind of separate, it would mostly just be like, hey, this is a thing from 1, look at how it appears in 2, and vice versa. Which, honestly, I'd have to see if other people do that, but, I mean, hey, it's definitely something I'm interested in. Like, I love Soul Hackers 1 and 2, so I'm definitely down for more Soul Hackers videos. Mako Tensei, these being on Shop Atlus is synonymous to me with not coming out at all. Yes, oh my gosh, Mako Tensei, thank you so much. That's a great thing to talk about with the Persona 5 Royal One More Edition. This, much like Soul Hackers 2 Collector's Edition, this is only on Shop Atlus worldwide. No retailer has this. By the way, had Jody actually ask me recently, a couple other people have as well, there is no collector's edition for Persona 5 Royal in Japan or Asia. There's like some pre-order bonus stuff, but nothing that you would classify as like a, hey, here is our collector's edition. So the One More edition is the only one available worldwide, but the thing about it that's like kind of crazy is like, with Soul Hackers 2, I think people were just glad we got something. Obviously, they did not make that many. I'd have to go back and remember. I think there was around like maybe 6 3,000 or so between Xbox and PlayStation for the Soul Hackers 2 Collector's Edition, but it was not a lot. It sold out in about a day, and it was like expensive mostly because it was like, hey, we're not making a lot of these, so they're probably trying to make up a lot of their money in overpriced shipping and charging for the other items that are in the Collector's Edition. But with this one being Shop Atlus exclusive, this one makes like very little sense to people. Like, it's Persona 5. GameStop would have bought these. Amazon would have stocked these. Best Buy would have stocked these. They wanted to keep this to themselves because they saw, oh, hey, look, we sold through all of our Soul Hackers, which is a niche, older IP. We sold a couple thousand of those. Persona 5 will be able to profit way more and make way, way, way more. And then going into the stock, PS5 and Switch had over, let's just say, around over 11,000 or so when it first debuted, and then Xbox had over 3,000. And as of a couple hours ago, let me go to my little picture here. The Xbox version currently has, if my phone wants to load, the Xbox version currently has just under 1,700 copies. The PS5 version has 8,400 plus copies, and the Switch version has 7,200 copies. So these are not flying off the shelves. And I'm almost confident to the point now where I'm like, not only was I like, oh, should I get these before they sell out? Now I'm at the point where I'm like, honestly, I bet you these will get discounted. Maybe come Black Friday, maybe comes... Like, as it is right now, they have so many left over in stock, there's no way they're going to sell all of them at the $120 asking price. Because remember, not only is it $120 asking price, but domestic shipping alone in the States is 25 extra bucks. So we're talking 150 plus if you have like taxes and stuff. So I don't know like even what the right price for this would be for me, but like I think if you wait a while, and unless they do some sort of like liquidation thing where they just pawn all these off on like Black Friday or something, there's no way they're going to be able to get rid of all of this. So obviously it's a waiting game. There is always a chance that they could just say, all right, F it, we're going to cut all the stock in half, or even 3/4, and just sell whatever we've sold by the time the game comes out. Another important thing to note, the game will arrive they are doing the Soul Hackers thing, unfortunately, which I know a lot of people don't like. The game will arrive in October if you buy the Collector's Edition, but the Collector's Edition items will not arrive until November. So the way that worked with Soul Hackers is you got the game week of, very few people I know got the game on release day. So you would get the game about a week or so after release. I know international people have also been like really slow delivery, so everyone's situation is different. But for me in North America, I got the game about 3 or 4 days after its Friday release, and then the Collector's Edition arrived on September 22nd, and that was basically a month after release. So expect to have to wait quite a bit, and like when it's like, at least with Soul Hackers 2, like Soul Hackers 2's Collector's Edition, honestly, as long as I loved the Steelbook, that's all I needed. It was like, you know what, just make me like the Steelbook Atlas and then I'll be happy. Like all the other stuff was really just like fluff for me. So the P5 one, like honestly, like I know it probably would have been evil, but like if they had even just done something like an exclusive Steelbook design for the Collector's Edition, I think even that would have been more worth it. But there's such high like numbers you have to hit for doing Steelbooks that like there was just no way it was ever going to be probably worth it. Let's see, but yeah, kind of going back though to the whole Shop Atlus thing. I hope this shows them that they should not do that. Like, Shop Atlus should not be used for making 25,000+ copies of your IPs and stuff. Like, you should use Shop Atlus exclusive for the really niche stuff. Like, maybe put a 13 Sentinels Collector's Edition on there. Or, hey, better yet, get some of those games that are really hard to find or have never got a physical release in America. Put those out on your store. Put Ultimax with all the patches on PlayStation 4 for $30 on your store. I am sure you would sell out of at least 3,000 to 4,000 of those. Like, put out Persona 4 Dancing All Night with all the DLC on Persona 4 on PlayStation 4. That never got a physical release in any region. Like, there's a lot of little things Shop Atlus could do to improve itself. I think honestly that could be another video as well. Like, 5 things Shop Atlus needs to do to stop sucking. Because, like, the stuff they sell is fine. Like, their shipping is fine. I mean, obviously the prices are ridiculous for the shipping, but, like, the quality of all the items I've seen people get are fine. It's just, like, I know so many more people want to just buy game stuff through them. I don't want an SMT5 bomber jacket. By the way, where is the SMT5 bomber jacket? I know people are still waiting on those after forever. So, I would just say, yeah, try and diversify. Don't make collector's editions that should go to retail be exclusive, or at least don't expect us to have bought 20,000 plus collector's editions for the third time. Alright, let's catch back up on this. Beyond SP brings up a good point. Is the Steelbook the same size for the Switch and PS5 versions? And also Xbox. So, I've reached out. I've heard nothing. I've reached out to retail partners, distributors, and Atlas West themselves. I have heard nothing saying that the Switch version will be in its own Switch size case. Obviously, things could change. It could be a Switch size case, but for whatever reason, no one wants to tell me. As of now, I would say it is a very safe bet that the Steelbooks are all Blu-ray sized case, no matter what version, and much like the Japanese version, much like Japanese releases, they are a Blu-ray sized Steelbook case where the right side holds a disc and the left side can hold 2 Nintendo Switch cartridges. So that would be a much cheaper alternative, because honestly, like, getting 2 different Steelbook sizes for a release is very rare unless you're like a big IP. Like, I'm still shocked that Persona 5 Strikers got one in PS4 and Switch. It's not something you see very often, so we'll have to really sort of see like what happens with it. I hope it gets a Switch one, just because I like at least that would be like, oh hey, this is interesting. But again, these are all just going to be the retail editions at launch, so I'm not that like hurried about it. I'd be very shocked if these Steelbooks become hard to find at launch. But if anything does change and I do find out of a like normal Switch Steelbook size, I'll let you all know, because I've very much been pressing on that. Cherry Papa Ninja says, dude, I still have my Japan import of Persona 5 Vanilla with the soundtrack and all the Persona games. Oh yeah, that Japanese collector's edition for Persona 5 was amazing, because it was basically just a 20th anniversary like celebration. BPA Free says, I love the SMT5 bag, use it for my Switch all the time. Now BPA, are you talking about the bag from the SMT5 Collector's Edition, or the one from Anime Expo? Because I'm talking about the one from Anime Expo, but the bag from the SMT5 Collector's Edition is fantastic. I gotta say, I'm very biased because I know a lot of the people who like made those Collector's Editions. I think the SMT5 Collector's Edition may be my favorite Atlas West Collector's Edition they've ever made. It's just like, it's super easy of CD, art book, hardcover art book, bag, Steelbook. Like, that's all I need. I'm a big baby. That's all I want. Let's see. I'm glad I'm not the only one who wanted a Tycoon deck. Let's see. Travis Soul says, it feels like a repackaging of spare stock they had. That is also very true. Like, Travis, yeah. Like, everything in the One More edition just feels like a bunch of knickknacks they had lying around for something they were going to sell separately, and just threw in a cardboard, like, treasure chest. Carlos Hernandez brings up a good point. I wish it had a art book, much like the Fire Emblem 1 Anniversary Edition. Again, that might just go back to the fact that there is a upcoming release of Persona 5 Royal art book coming out. Probably not this year, but I think at this point it'll have to be next year. Let's see what else we have caught up with. I don't think Atlus would have gotten away with making a new waifu character for this remaster, but that would have been pretty funny. Do you think whenever Soul Hackers 2 gets ported to Switch, it'll have all the DLC included? I would say at this point, judging on their last parallel for every other time they've done a Switch port, I'd say yes. Plus, if anything, like, I'm still beating the drum for this. I think whenever Soul Hackers 2 does come to Switch, which I do think is happening, I think when it does come to Switch, I bet it has exclusive DLC. Let's see here. What else are we missing? Alexandria says, I started P5/4, but after playing SMT, I like the series better. 345 is amazing for SMT. Well, hey, I'm glad you are enjoying either. I definitely can kind of understand liking one more than the other just because of how very different they are. Let's see. Catching up. Trying to see how horrendously behind I am, everybody. Oh man, I missed our favorite commenter, 69 Mega. Thanks, 69 Mega. I missed you too. That's how you know it's been a long time when 69 Mega's not here. Alright, well, I'm not as far behind as I thought. J. Arthur says, I'm getting the Fire Emblem Engage Special Edition, so the P5R Special Edition is an easy skip. I got my pre-order of the Standard Edition in, though, so good call, J. Arthur. And, I don't think I've actually talked about this. Fire Emblem Engage, I'm very hyped for. It is a less giant Fire Emblem game. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I liked Three Houses, but I still never beat it. And, like, I really liked Three Hopes more. And even though, like, there's a lot of choice for Three Hopes, it feels way more manageable. And most Fire Emblem games, the way people describe it to me, like, they're not that divergently different. And, like, I feel like I will appreciate a more straightforward Fire Emblem game like Engage. So I decided to bite the bullet. The special edition looked like a great value. The art book and the steelbook looks super duper clean. So I'm excited for January. Going to be my first Fire Emblem game at launch. Got the special edition locked and loaded. That was an easy $5 pre-order for me. Let's see here. Oh yeah. Speaking of other games that are coming out, Nier coming to Switch in October. There is a lot of stuff. JCat says, "Do you stream games, Spencer?" So, yes and no. I've honestly been so busy, I haven't had a lot of time to stream stuff. But I do have a plan either for tomorrow or Thursday. I have been reviewing a game called, oh my god, I'm going to forget it. It's basically Cross-Dressing Boys Mahjong Solitaire. And I'm going to do something different, where I'm going to try to live stream and platinum a game while reviewing it at the same time. So we'll see how much of a disaster that is sometime later this week. Let's see here. Catching up. Raging Oga says, do you think they will do a remake for Strikers because of Royal? Interesting you mentioned that. Also, JCat, I'm glad you said you were Jody. I had a feeling that you might be Jody, but I appreciate now knowing for sure. I'm waiting until tomorrow, but the new Koei Tecmo hunting game that EA is publishing, I am 99% sure that's the Strikers team. Unless what my inside sources have told me are either wrong about the director and the team, I have heard, and I guess this can kind of work into news as well, and this was also an idea of another video, but I'm just waiting for all my facts to kind of get out there with everything, so probably by this weekend you'll have a new video about the state of Persona 5 Arena and Persona 5 Strikers 2 or more Strikers, because there are big changes as Arc System works in the BlazBlue side, and there were also obviously big moves with Omega Force with this new EA hunting game they're going to be doing, which I'm assuming is basically just going to be the spiritual successor / AAA version of Toukiden. So for any of you who don't know, the Toukiden team was basically a Monster Hunter clone, but based in feudal Japan, and the whole thing with it was basically that team who made Toukiden 1 and 2 on the Vita and PS4, then went over to make Persona 5 Strikers. Let's see here. So, Carlos Hernandez says, I hate when companies do that. I'm happy Nintendo put Fire Emblem Engage Collector's Edition on GameStop and Best Buy. Yeah, like, I really think a lot of companies kind of had a lot of heartaches this year specifically of like, hey, testing the waters to see how they can kind of sell things and see, like, I'll tell you right now, as a person who knows someone who at Nintendo had to deal with this headache, if they can help it, Nintendo will never sell another store-exclusive collector's edition that way, at least the way they did it with Xenoblade, ever again. Like, it was such a disaster. Like, I just had a realization today, too, of like, yeah, like, they still haven't even shipped that out. Like, we don't even know when those Xenoblade 3 collector's editions are coming out. It's been a huge, huge, like, pain in the butt. So, it's a weird one of, like, I get it. I get why that is the case. But also at the same time, it's just, like, logistically, it makes perfect sense. Like, all of that said, though, a lot of people ended up being pissed for it and or missing out from spending more money to all of you. Bad Wrong Fun says, the bastardized anarchy symbol for the Akechi is sending me. I'm going to look this up. Like, is it supposed to look anything more different? I'm curious about. Also, Jody, the fact that you still don't have your collector's edition hurts, but not as much. Like, there are people I know who are in Europe who still don't have their standard edition of it. Like, I'm so confused about that. How some people don't have their standard edition of Soul Hackers after a month blows my mind. Ooh, Alexander Amikon brings up a good point. I hope we get a collector's edition of SMT5 if they re-release it on consoles besides Switch. So, obviously, SMT5 is going to be coming out, at least I know 1,000% on PlayStation and PC. Xbox would be cool. I can't imagine why they wouldn't do it, especially assuming if Persona and stuff on Game Pass works out pretty well. But I'm curious, yeah, like, that would be one that's like, okay, SMT5 again would be good for Store Atlus, like the Shop Atlus exclusive. Like, that would make sense to me. Because it's like, it's not a game's first time. I don't think SMT5 would be big enough at retail. Like, I think really the only reason SMT5 was big enough was A, because it was SMT5 for the first time, and B, it was a Nintendo Switch exclusive, so there's a lot of factors going into that. So, that I'm not 100% on if they could make it work at retail, but at the very least, for sure, it's like you've got to like put that on the Shop Atlus one because there's so much cool stuff you could do for SMT5 again with the collector's edition. No. Faz, interesting question. Please correct me, or at least answer this if you can. Faz says, I have a feeling that I'm going to get my physical Persona 5 Royal before the rest of my collector's edition. Faz, how long did it take you to get your standard edition? And I'm assuming what you mean is to get Persona 5 Royal, the standard edition. Oh, no, actually, no, because Faz is one of those silly ragamuffins who wants the Akechi bag. So, explain which one you're talking about in terms of, do you think you're going to get the Royal CE before the Soul Hackers 2? That I'd be more curious about. By the way, guys, the Soul Hackers 2 CE, stupid expensive on eBay. Very expensive. Like, at least that one, like, if you have FOMO for that, that's very understanding FOMO. We're actually going to do a quiz real quick here. I probably should have done this at the beginning. But, will you... Alright, here, we'll just do... Did you or will you buy the P5R One More Edition? And if you want to explain yourself, why or why not, please feel free to. But let us get back to our scrolly questions here. Yeah, Popscar, another one. It's like, when the biggest thing we're interested in is the Steelbook, I'm so glad it's just in the retail version, but also at the same time, I'm really just like, yeah, like what's kind of going on there? Oh no, that is Fardo Plata. Fardo Plata says NIS America gets Switch Steelbooks. There's no excuse. Typical shitty Atlus move. And again, this goes back to we're not 100% sure if there is not a Switch Steelbook for P5R or not. I will say this though. when NIS is doing that, those are only for their collector's editions, which makes it a lot easier to kind of dictate. When you're mass producing these for retail, like, I've got to imagine, even though this is like the third time they're selling Persona 5 at retail, they're at least expecting to print about 1 million of these on all systems at launch. So it's like, I don't think that means there's going to be 1 million steelbooks. I think realistically, let's say, like 50,000 altogether for the Blu-ray sizes between PlayStation 5 and Xbox One in series. Like, I think 50K is pretty. Like, if they're expecting to sell over 25K of collector's editions alone, I think another 25 at retail is very, very conservative, honestly. Let's see. Dippy Crow says, I didn't want to wait 10 years for the SMT5 jacket, so I spent $250 on a Lil Nas X Letterman jacket. I'm not going to lie, Demi Crow. I feel like you did the smarter option. Let me know, do you have the Lil Nas X jacket, and is it better than the SMT5 bomber jacket? I forgot to take a drink. Alright, Xe says, I played the Mahjong game. It really comes down to RNG BS. Yeah, listen, I do not expect my cross-dressing Mahjong solitaire game to be the most glowing of reviews, so there's a reason I'm live streaming it as opposed to making a fully functioning fancy video. Pinglefinger, I love that you say SMT5 on PC is my dream, just because technically if you were a dirty pirate you could have already done that right now, but yes, the native PC version will be glorious. Please be excited for that. But when that happens, God only knows. Definitely isn't coming this year. Or, I shouldn't say that. My gut tells me I could see that it's like a weird one last release in December, but it would be like weird where it's like only on PC and it's only on the Epic Game Store for like 6 months. Let's see here. Talking about the tarot cards. JNC Gaming says, I'm shocked with how much hype isn't present for this re-release. I hope Atlus didn't wait too long. I think the Switch port of Royal's original release would be garnered much, much more sales. What do you think? I think overall it's going to sell well, but I talked about this a little bit before with like Jody and stuff of like, I really think, at least at retail, this is not going to like blow anyone's pants off. It's like, overall, this will, yeah, it's going to sell thousands and thousands of copies, but it's just not an exciting re-release. Like, there's not a lot of hype behind it. Like, the only people who are hyping it up is the company who's selling it. So it's great it's coming. I don't think it's too little too late. I still think it'll definitely make its money back and then some, but it's one of those ones of like, it's not going to take the world by storm. I can't think of a Switch port where the Switch version came out and then everyone was like, oh my god, guys, the series is saved, it's on Switch now. It will do fine. It will do probably weaker than Atlus expects at retail, but I think over time and through digital sales, it will do very, very well. Now, that being said, kind of on the reverse of is it too late, did they wait too long? Persona 3 and 4, I'm going to say this, will sell better at launch probably than P5 will at launch. Like, unless they really fumble the bag and release P3 and 4 during like some crazy AAA season like they did with Ultimax Remastered, 3 and 4 will sell more than 5 at launch. That's just like my gut's telling me. It's like there's been more anticipation, it's been more time waiting, people are more hungry to play those on new systems than P5. Even though, ironically, P5 will be the better seller overall, I'm talking about at launch and those launch sales, if that makes sense. Let's see. Let's resist talking about Xenoblade for the time being. Faz, I'm glad that you love the Akechi bag, so I understand that that's important to you. I'll tell you what, my little inside knowledge from what I know of people who are still there working the presses of the old Atlus shop, I would say, okay, let's see how I can phrase this without getting anyone in trouble. With the Akechi bag, Don't expect it to be as good as the SMT5 bag. Expect something more similar to the Persona 5 bag. So if you loved that Persona 5 bag, you're going to be looking at that level of quality. Wolfredo says, wonder what's the over-under on Persona 6 getting announced. Persona 4 came out in 2009, and they announced P5 in 2013. I'd say this, Wolfredo. The landscape is so different now. Persona 3, 4, and 5 were all made by different teams. This is the Royal and the Golden team working on 6. Is an announcement probably coming? Yes. Is it going to be the most teasery of teasers ever with maybe 1 second of actual gameplay? Also yes. But they know what they have to do, but at the same time, they have no reason to release anything about 6. It's so far off, and they have so many other projects coming first. I'll say this, Wilfredo, if Persona 6 was being made by the team at Studio Zero who did Persona 5, yes, it should be soon. But because that team wanted to work on other projects and they made Project Re Fantasy, well, they're making Project Re Fantasy, they still got to name it, and they already did that remake of Catherine Full Body, that Studio Zero, people need to remember this, Studio Zero is a very small team. They are a tight team, and even with them hiring up, it's still going to take them a while to get, Re Fantasy out the door. Clarification from Faz. The reason I'm saying physical P5R is because they're releasing the rest of the P5R collection editions. Oh, okay, yeah, we already went over that, but I appreciate the clarification for you, though. Exie, I'm willing to admit I only bought it for the Best Boy bag. Listen, guys, I love Akechi. Akechi has way more interesting merch than that fucking bag. I don't know if I'm crazy. Listen, if the bag came with, his glove or, a little water gun, I would be, even his mask. Anything. I don't think of it, a waffle iron or pancake maker would have made more sense to me and been more exciting than the A bag. Cool Picks, thanks for dropping into the stream. Oh my god, Jody, I am surprised. It wants to buy the One More edition because I missed out on the OG Collector's Edition. I can kind of see that. If you've never bought a Persona 5 Collector's Edition, congratulations. There's a new one for you now. Let's see here. I'm glad that Lil Nas X jacket was great. I would have been sad if that did not live up to the hype for $250. A lot of people, by the way, saying they are not buying this. We are up to 78% saying they are not buying the One More edition in the live chat. Birdman says, I'm definitely buying Persona 5 Royal. Not sure Xbox or Switch, though. If it's a new game, I would try to go for the collectors. Not really feeling this one for P5R, though. I'll stick with this digitally. J. Arthur says, once I got P5R, my only steelbook so far will be Atlus Games SMT5. I can respect it. Steelbooks, hey man, the best part of a Steelbook collection is where did you start? That's always the thing I really love. I think my first proper Steelbook was Resident Evil 5 from the Resident Evil 5 PS3 Collector's Edition. Last couple of things to catch up on, and then I want to try to move us into our final topic here. Carlos brings up a great point. It would be funny if we eventually get to a point where we see the P5R Collector's Editions on shelves, littering stores. Even though they weren't at stores originally, Atlus is just please buy these. Please, some store buy this and discount them greatly. I can definitely see, you're going to find this at an anime convention in, 2 or 3 years for, $30. Brand new. Your boy Vab says, oh right, I forgot SMT5 came with the bag. It was so small, I forgot about it. I would say, I think the problem with the SMT5 Collector's Edition bag was, it's not a bag, it's a Switch case. As soon as you think of it as a Switch case, it's perfect. Oh, that would be great. For the Akechi, just include Akechi pancake mix. That would be more cool to me than the bag. Not even gonna lie. Jagingus with the truest of answers. All we needed was the Steelbook. So yeah, we're pleased here. Ooh, Bad Wrong Fun. Great steelbook for your first one. My first steelbook was the Appleseed DVD from all things. That's a great steelbook. I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Everyone in chat, if you want me to feel really, really excited, just let me know what was your first steelbook, and bonus points if it wasn't the Persona 5 steelbook or the Royal. But if it was, you can still tell me. You just get bonus points. Jag says, my first steelbooks was, this is a great one. Mine was the Star Wars The Force Unleashed Ultimate Sith Edition for 360. So, Jag, I'm not sure about it for 360, but on PS3, that's one of those rare cursed steelbooks where the PS3 spine logo and font are at the top of it, and I hate it. Like, anytime a steelbook has the system thing like it's supposed to be on the box art, I absolutely despise that. Like, there's so many that I really didn't like. Oh, the Halo 2 steelbook is a classic. It's only saving grace is that, like, it's really old and a lot of people have it, but I do appreciate it. Like, it's not a good looking steelbook, and it definitely looks like every time I've ever found one, it's super rusted, but Halo 2 is definitely a nostalgic steelbook. Oh, Assassin's Creed 3 on 360, I remember you pre-ordered the game like 9 months before launch, and I think GameStop and Best Buy had steelbooks. That was like back in that weird time where you could pre-order the game months before release and they would just give you an empty steelbook. I remember Dead Island 1 or Dead Island... No, it was Dead Island 1. It wasn't Riptide. Well, no, it might have actually been Riptide. Yeah, I think it was Riptide gave you a steelbook like that as well. Okay, that is... my first PS3 2012 London Olympic themed steelbook. Demi Crew, I'm going to need you to tweet that at me, because I don't think that's a real steelbook, but I hope that's true. I hope that there is a 2012 London Olympic Games steelbook, and I just never knew about it. Alright, everybody. By the way, Pinglefinger, you get bonus points for having the Star Fox Zero steelbook. I remember importing that, and people were like, that's a stupid steelbook, and I was like, no, honestly, the steelbook's probably the best part of like that whole game. I was very jealous Europe got that. But yes, everybody, final topic of the day is a weird one that we're still watching as it's kind of happening and progressing, but Atlus has gotten some legal stuff going on in the background, so recently, for all of you guys who don't know out there, back in the day, back when I was a little wee lad on the old personal computer, Atlus had an MMORPG, not developed by them, but obviously had their involvement, called Shin Megami Tensei Imagine. So Imagine was just your, think like those one step above free-to-play MMOs of the mid-2000s, but like not anything that like crazy. Imagine was like a good, fun MMO that like I always enjoyed playing for free, but anytime it was like, hey, would you pay money for a subscription for this? I was like, I'll wait for free weekends. I put a lot of time into it, especially at the time compared to how little. Oh, come on, Carl. It's definitely better than Wizard 101. Yeah, Imagine was definitely looked better and played better than 101. And actually one of the craziest things about Imagine that most people don't actually remember is that Imagine actually had a release in the West. It was not by Atlus West, but at the time, I remember it was like part of like this thing called like Atlus Online, where they had a couple of MMOs. They worked with different partners to get out. And Imagine probably had to be one of the least popular MMOs I'd ever heard of growing up. Like at least like RuneScape or even Toontown, I would find people, like Gaia Online, I had people playing stuff. Like, Imagine, I never found anyone locally to me playing it. I remember actually recently, I met up with somebody, like a friend I hadn't seen in a long time, and we were like talking about this, and he was like, oh yeah, dude, I remember this like SMT game, but I just can't remember what it was. It was on computer, and I was like, was it Imagine? And he's like, oh yeah, I haven't talked to that in like forever. And so it was one of those funny things of like, Imagine when it was out in the West was always that thing of like, fun to play, not great, but it was definitely like an interesting concept for bringing SMT into an MMO. And eventually got shut down in the West, and then I think all the way up until 2013 is when it got shut down in Japan. But much like various other MMOs, like original WoW Classic, and I hope like one day we get to this point with OG Final Fantasy XIV where people want to play like the classic servers because they're masochists. Oh my gosh. I'm not speaking ill will of Wizarding 101. I'm just saying Wizarding 101 is definitely like that thing you think of like, yeah, like that was free to play for a reason. Alright, my voodoo is gone. If you've had the new voodoo for this year, everybody, I don't know what flavor this is. It feels like just Mountain Dew with straight up lemonade, and that's not bad, but it's pretty interesting. So, Imagine got shut down 2013 worldwide. It was much earlier in the West for us, because God knows it was not profitable for many years over here. But what was interesting about it was, much like a lot of other MMOs, is that it was kept alive through fans with fan servers. So basically, if you didn't know, fan servers are just ways of keeping MMORPGs alive, because these games have to live on servers and be hosted. And is it necessarily legal? No, because you're like playing a game. Like I'm sure it somehow counts as like piracy or whatever with it, but it's one of those things where it's kind of an unspoken rule, unless you're Blizzard, that like as long as you're doing this and there's not a paid way to play this, we don't care, or you're not making money. Like if you're charging for fan servers, then you're going to get in trouble. Well, after many years of having... Actually, I don't even know if it's... I know it's at least been like 3-something years, because I've known of Reimagine for a couple of years. Different fan servers were online for it, and this week... JCat, I did see the, like... The whole back and forth of, like, why it started. I don't really want to get it... Because, like, I more find the legal thing of it more interesting of, like, when we know what's going to happen. But, like, yeah, so I'll get to it of, like, there's a lot of, oh, here's why this started, here's why this didn't. So, basically, Atlus filed a lawsuit recently in September and presented it to people in charge of the fan servers for Imagine. And there were, like I said, there were multiple ones up there. But the whole point of this was basically... Atlus was brought... Well, Atlus Japan, because obviously Atlus West has nothing to... Atlus West has nothing to do with any of this. So, Atlus Japan basically was brought aware that they were using their name, Atlus, in terms of, like, talking about the fan servers and stuff. And it's been shown, or at least was alleged, that they were profiting or making money off of this. Now, it doesn't have to be directly like, hey, put your credit card into the game to play. It could be making a Patreon that's tied to the fan server. Any way that's tied, like even if they had a YouTube channel and they monetized that YouTube channel of them talking about that fan server, like that's enough for them to be like, hey, you're monetizing on our IP, we need to shut this down. Or at least make it seem like we're going to sue your pants off until you shut it down. So, basically now, all of the fan servers just immediately closed up and have just gone into, oh shit, what's going to happen mode, because Atlus Japan had started this lawsuit, and I've been looking into it and a lot of things with it. I'm pretty confident in the case that this is going to happen. This lawsuit, to my knowledge, was only presented to one party. This is going to scare a lot of people away from doing it for, let's say, like a year. Maybe. Like, honestly, even if it takes that long. And once things quiet down, servers will slowly... Because, like, there was never, at least in terms of, like, the grand scheme of things, there's never, like, a big announcement that, hey, the Reimagine server is launching! Jump back into the world of SMT Imagine! Like, it's really just a grassroots effort thing from a handful of fans who want to play this game. And obviously, like, there are hundreds of people, but, like, it's not thousands of people. So I would say that Atlus is going to threaten to legally pursue people who are monetizing and using their name for their intellectual property. And after some time, I'm sure another fan server will pop up. Will it be the same people related to it? And obviously, like Jody was mentioning earlier, of like, there's now things coming out about like, oh, was this because of like petty beef between people who are running the servers? Honestly, all of that is like, it's kind of interesting. But at the same time, like, I more find it interesting that Atlus is still pursuing this pursuing this like more than just dropping a cease and desist. Like, they actually went to the effort of filing a lawsuit in America for this fan server. I think that's actually the more interesting thing with it. Jody brings up a good point. Yeah, they copy and pasted the website and put their own copyright on it. That's also a big no-no. Especially because they also probably don't actually have anything copyrighted under their own name. But, yeah, so the whole Imagine thing is interesting. You'll notice barely anybody in the media is talking about it, though, because, hey guys, spoilers, not a lot of people outside of SMT fans really care about Imagine, let alone Reimagine. Even someone like me, like, I loved Imagine growing up. I never once checked out Reimagine. Like, I've got a lot of other stuff going on, but I always thought it was cool. Like, I love that there are groups out there who are like kind of goes back to like other MMOs. Like here's a great level that I would put, even though it was probably more popular, like something like Star Wars Galaxy. I think of it like SMT Imagine. Like, not the most popular game or MMO by far in the whole world, but definitely one that had enough like cachet that people were like, hey, like, I had a life in here. I don't want this to be lost just because the servers were shut down. So to all the people who are affected from playing right now, definitely shout out to all of you. If you were someone who was working on the fans servers and not profiting in any way, shape, or form, shout out to you for doing that. Again, this is just one of those things of like, how much do they care about it? Because they're thinking, okay, is our intellectual property and copyright at risk for us not doing anything? Because a big one to always think about this when companies go after like fan projects is they're usually 9 out of 10 times not doing this because they're trying to make money off of whatever the fans are doing. It's because they have to legally defend their IP. Like, if they don't defend their IP and then they just see, oh, well, you let people do blah, blah, blah for so long, well, clearly you don't care, and it's basically just up for grabs. A good kind of example with this is the Sonic and Mario sort of comparison with fan games. Nintendo will never officially endorse any fan games. Sega, while never officially endorsing them, has never shunned away from like fans making fan games, but there has always been one rule. Never make any money off them. Never advertise to make any money from it. Never ask for donations for funding. If you are making this game out of the goodness of your own heart, you can make as many good, bad, great, or horny Sonic games as you want. So, Atlus definitely is not as, hey, have at it with SMT fan games, but Atlus also is kind of aware that like they know that like they're not Sonic, and the thing of like there's not that many fan games of SMT games out there that they would ever have to like shut it down. The only reason Imagine is happening is because it was an example of them reviving an old game that they still own the intellectual property rights to, and they had heard word that people were making money and using their copyrighted material. So I don't expect us to hear too much about this in terms of where the rest of this goes, but it was definitely something interesting I wanted to bring up. Of like, I like following this stuff. Like, I'm obviously really, I'm really big into like kind of following things from like a legal standard. But honestly, the drama of like, okay, who said what to Sega, that honestly I could find way less interesting. I would love it to imagine if this actually went to court, but all of this will usually just be settled out of court because that's the realistic world we live in. So Saul Goodman will not be involved, unfortunately, with saving Reimagine. I doubt it, but I at least wanted to give you all some sort of like heads up about everything sort of going in there. Last question before we kind of wrap up the show, everybody. Did you ever play Imagine? Do you have any memories of playing Imagine? Did you ever want to check out Imagine? I would be mean and say, do you want to bring back Imagine? But like, let's be real. Let's be real. Imagine is never, ever coming back. You have a better chance of getting Jack Bros in HD for the 3DS than any form of Imagine coming back. Like, honestly, we have a better chance of getting SMT 9 HD than Imagine. Chris Check said, fun fact, my first experience with Megaton was a friend who got me to try Imagine when I was in college. Then he let me borrow Nocturne and DDS with PS2. That's so funny to think of Imagine being your first. That is actually crazy. Especially just because it's so different. I will say, speaking of 9, though, definitely check out the ties that Imagine has to 9. 9 originally was actually supposed to have a single player and a multiplayer component, and basically 9 was just like oh Jesus, what are we doing? Let's just make a game and get it out. And then that eventually ended up becoming Imagine. But it is always kind of funny to think, like, imagine if that was an Xbox port. Like, if there was a console version of Imagine, I think that there was a much higher chance of, like, something, like, a fan base kind of living for a lot longer. Like, you look at how fans are still playing to this day. Phantasy Star Online from the Dreamcast, GameCube, whatever. Like, if Imagine ever had a even Japanese-only Xbox release, I feel like there would be so many more potential audiences out there who might want to sort of jump in and check it all out. But speaking of checking stuff out, thank you all so much for listening to me babble for like the last hour. Hopefully you enjoyed us talking about collector's editions, Soul Hackers 2, bags with the letter A on it, and lawsuits for the last hour. So I appreciate you all for being here. I miss doing the show live. I'm so glad we had over 40 of you here to listen to me ramble on for so long. If you have any other last questions, I'm going to do some hey, check us out here little things. But for everyone in the live chat, if there are any other last unrelated questions or anything at all, feel free to throw them at me before I get out of here for the night. But thank you all so much for coming on for a quick live podcast. I miss doing this. Usually I try to have a good mixture of live shows to pre-recorded shows, and I really just wanted to have a lot of pre-recorded ones recently, because Soul Hackers and work had me so busy, and I really wanted to kind of make up to the patrons, because obviously if you donate to the SMTN Patreon, it helps not only pay the hosting fees for the show, helps keep basically the lights running over here. Ironically, I'm literally doing the show in the dark right now. But just a bunch of different ways to help support us and everything. Weird question I'll throw to all of you, whether it be live or listening after the fact. Let me know in the comments or on Twitter at SMT Network. How do you feel about YouTube memberships? Do people like that? Is that a thing you would want to do instead of Patreon? Let me know what you think of YouTube memberships. I can get one set up, definitely. But I know not everyone is able to do Patreon, so kind of figured I would let everybody sort of know. Your boy Vab, I would say what kind of work I do, but according to Jody, it's either very boring or involves body disposing, so not that sure. I'll tell you what, though, it is definitely very boring, so don't ever be jealous of my day job. It's very, very boring. Alright, so before we get out of here, let's see. Your boy Vab, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. I appreciate you being on here. Cool picks. Thank you for joining the stream. BPA, have you played the Somnium games? No, I've still not. I want to play and beat the Nonary Games trilogy first. I'm on VLR, but I know those games aren't going anywhere for me, so I always appreciate, like, I know where they're at. I'll play them on PlayStation. I think if they were on Vita, I probably would have picked them up, but, like, I'm not in a hurry to play them on anything, and so I know they're not going anywhere, and I'm thankfully not going to play them on Switch, so I'll thankfully be okay for a while in terms of price FOMO there. Let's see. That is true. I should not be on the computer in the dark, but when I was doing this, there was the sun out, but then an hour later, all disappeared, so sad face. And Jody, thank you so much for the 99p. I appreciate it. With the sleepy emoji, I always forget you can do super chats with the little emojis. Translating to a whopping 107, which I appreciate. That's enough to refill my water, and that's all I need over here. Everybody, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoy this show and you stumbled across, by some miracle, it's your first time, please consider subscribing on YouTube. It helps. You can follow all the live streams, all the videos, all the editorials, reviews, blah, blah, blah. Cross-dressing, solitaire mahjong, stuff like that. Besides that, you can check out the show on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. If you do listen to the show on podcast feeds, or if you just have the podcast apps open, please, please, please consider doing 5-star reviews. It really, really helps in terms of getting the word out there, letting people know about the show. But also, if you know someone who likes Persona, SMT, Atlus, or just random guy talking to himself in the dark to a room of 50-something people on YouTube, tell your friends. There's the SMTN Facebook group with over, I think, 11 or 12,000 of you now. There's the Discord. There's the Twitter at SMT Network. You can follow my personal one at Torchwood4SP. One day I'll remember my personal Twitter exists, but until then, you can always find me on the at SMTN Twitter. But yeah, YouTube, Twitter, Discord, Facebook. Last but not least, Patreon.com. Talked about it a little bit earlier, but if you would like to help support the show, go to patreon.com/SMTN, where you can go and donate $1 a month to become a fan, which will get you shows early, exclusive giveaways, and so on and so forth. Or if you'd like me to read your name at the end of every weekly episode, you can donate $5 or more a month, just like these executive producers did. We have special shout out and thanks to Jagingus, Budweiser Tall Cans, Carlos Hernandez, Contraband, Cross Ren, K-Horse, Philip Meyer, C-Show, Solaire, Cameron Sharp, and everyone else. If you're just a fan, or if you're just listening to the show live or pre-recorded, thank you so much. I appreciate you all for what you do, being here, being awesome. Have a good rest of your week, play some video games, and I will see you all next week. Bye, everybody.